Okay, so this is, again, just some visual reference on where we're going with this. Two-story columns, beams spanning east-west and north-south at each of the two levels. And then we'll have some joists, 4 of them per structural bay. The orientation won't matter so much as you just kind of be consistent, remember which way you're going. They can go north-south or east-west, it's fine. So what we need to do then is start off with our levels, just like we've done before. In this case, we've got our 4 levels. We've got a top height here of 9850. Our maximum, of course, is 10 meters, so we're a little below that. And then the underside of steel deck is what's going to mark the top of where the beams are. So we won't be placing anything for this for these structural components above that. Second floor, that's pretty obvious, and then first floor as well. So similar to levels, when we're doing a more complex project like this, and I say more complex in the sense that it's not like a residential project, we use grids. The levels control things on this kind of horizontal plane. The grids are going to control things on a vertical plane. They're not as important to the project as the levels, but you'll see that we can kind of use them as a way to snap things together, and then columns placed on grids then become bound to those grids, and if we move the grids around, all the columns will move as well. So we're going to switch to our first floor view. So in the browser, just double click on first floor. And on the architecture tab, way over on the right here, there's a datum panel. Keyboard shortcut for grid is GR. It's this little icon here. Of course, it'll look a little different on your screen. You've got a few more pixels to work with. But just click that. And then I'm going to draw the vertical ones first. So I'm going to just make a click, just a left click, kind of in the upper left here, the northwest kind of section, and just drag down. And I'm going to make a few little changes to this before I start making copies of it. But just to point out what we're working with here, looks like levels. We've got a little checkbox on either end of this, and if I click in that checkbox, then I'll actually get the text and the symbol to appear on that side. So you can see that it's already placed the text here, the number 1. Now, where I placed that isn't really so crucial. I just kind of placed it rather randomly. It's going to be the reference point now for creating additional grid lines. And so to place those, I'm going to go back to that same tool. You have to click on it again. I'm going to click on Grid. And just like with levels, I can either draw it or I can use the Pick Lines tool and then kind of use an existing one as a reference point and offset. So I'm going to use Pick Lines. When I do that, I get the offset value here in the options bar. I'm going to set that to 7500. Okay, that's the 7500 millimeter structural module that we're using for the 360 building. And then I'm just going to hover over that first grid, and just remember that you just kind of subtly go to one side or the other. You'll see that blue dotted line appear. When you see it in the right place, just click, and then I'm going to do that 2 additional times. So I want 3 vertical structural grid lines. When I say vertical, I just mean this. In this view, they happen to be oriented vertically. Okay, so once I've placed those, I'm just going to do the same thing, where I'm just going to place the check on the top part so that the symbol appears on the top, or kind of on the north, and I'm going to actually turn it off on the south side here. So what you'll see up top there, just like we saw with levels, is that it numbers these grid lines sequentially. So you'll get 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you're seeing 7, 8, 9, 10 additional higher numbers there, it's because you probably, when you were doing your pick lines, you just clicked somewhere accidentally and it added maybe a duplicate. So you might actually have generated 2 or 3 in one spot. But if it all goes according to plan, you'll just have made 3 offset clicks, and you'll see 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you made some mistakes, just click it and delete it. You can also just click here on the text for the grid symbol, and if I needed to, if that was coming up as 7, I need to change it to 2, just change it to 2. And then the next one that you create after that will be 3, and then 4, and then 5. So it has a sense for what comes next in the sequence. I don't know how far that goes. It's probably just letters and numbers. I don't think it would assume any other sequence. But once you place a certain type of number or text, then the next one's just going to be in sequence to that. Once you've got those in place, just click on the grid button again and create some east-west. I'll say east-west instead of horizontal here. So east-west structural grids, same drill. Just click on the grid tool, pick lines. The offset should be 7,500. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to change this from 5 to A, since I want a different number or sequence here for my east-west grid lines. So they're going to be lettered. So now I'm going to just click on grid and pick lines and set the offset to 7,500. And I'll generate A through E.